Philip, has it changed? Has there been a fundamental and seismic shift by Theresa May away from just a few months ago what David Cameron represented?
Yes, I think it has changed, and I think we live in a time, it seems, of seismic shifts. But Theresa May has taken the Conservative Party to a radical break. Basically, since Mrs Thatcher, we've been governed by social and economic liberalism to an enormous degree. And I think the jury's now in. It's clear that globalisation, as represented by those forces, hasn't helped the working class in the developed nations of the world. Actually, between 1988 and 2008, they saw no real rise in income despite a massive rise in trade. So these people have effectively been left behind. And what Mrs May has rightly, in my view, said is we know that it's the economic and social liberalism that we've followed that has essentially put these people in this terrible position where it's looking very hard to get them out of. So she's broken with that, and she's done what really I argued David Cameron should have done back in 2010. This is radical red Toryism. This is intervening for the working class, and increasingly there'll be elements with technological change of the middle class. And it's about creating a world where the free market has often now come to just mean monopoly, dominance in most mature markets of enormous monopolies that we don't challenge. Think of the great platform monopolies, Google, eBay, etc. And we don't challenge them. They grab enormous market share. And with imports of labour that pull down wages, especially for working class people, ordinary people are getting less and less of a return. Now, the danger is this produces extremism of both left and right. And what May has done is she's taken a mainstream party and said, these are the problems we're going to address.
From both sides.
That's a change.
OK, let's get Owen Paterson's view. So, Owen Paterson, you presumably like what you hear from Theresa May on the issue of Brexit, but her interpretation also seems to be that it's not going to be truly free trade, and that the state has to get bigger, perhaps, and intervene.
Well, good morning. Well, I wouldn't agree with Philip. I think free trade and free markets have brought the human race to the highest level of prosperity and health and longer life at any stage in our history. And if you compare states, if you look at someone like Hong Kong, which came out of the Second World War as a barren rock, thanks to the brilliant determination of a UK civil servant, who's called Cabotthwaite. He insisted on low tax, low regulation, and Hong Kong has prospered quite extraordinarily. That does not apply to countries like Somalia, Cuba, the Soviet Union, Mao's China, or these nightmares like Venezuela, which are praised by some Labour politicians. So I'm absolutely clear that I do not want to go back to the 1970s, civil servants telling the car industry to produce something like the Austin Allegro with its famous square steering wheel. But there is a role for the state ensuring that companies can prosper. Round here, our mobile phone system is deteriorating on a daily basis. It is extremely hard to make calls driving from here to Shrewsbury. That means interference by the state, ensuring that the next spectrum auction has real competition. Broadband round here is absolutely dire, despite significant sums of money spent under the coalition government. That means the government interfering, not repeating the history of British Gas, splitting the infrastructure from BT and Openreach, allowing BT to go on its way and sell its wonderful product. A big company around here, employs a lot of people, but allowing Openreach to get out there and offer competition and investment and get investment in. Now that is where the state can really help.
You gentlemen, let's get some interchange. So Philip Blanc, come back on that. Hong Kong, and I suppose Owen Paterson's talking about a bigger state still acting like a small state.
Owen is completely right. Globalisation has helped enormously the bottom 30% of the world. In places like the developing world, it's hugely lifted the working class, especially. But it hasn't helped people in the developed world. I repeat, Milan Brankovic in 2012 showed there'd be no rise in wages. So what we have to ask is, how can globalisation work for the working class in this country?
Let's put that to Owen Paterson. Hasn't helped. He accepts your analysis, Philip Blanc, but it hasn't helped people in the developed world, like our own country.
Well, it has, and living standards have risen across the world. The trick is to ensure they continue to rise. And Philip mentioned Google. I don't remember any state agency in the United States or Europe saying Google would appear. I don't remember any state agency saying we're going to sit down and we're going to come up with a wonderful product called the iPhone. I don't remember any state agency predicting there was going to be Twitter or Facebook. These all emerged, but the critical thing is that the state that provided them had the universities, had the intelligence. No, it's very important. Just let me, Philip, hang on. I think we agree on this. It's really important that the state provides the right conditions of low tax and low regulation to allow brilliant entrepreneurs to prosper and have access to a pool of really skilled, well-educated people who will bring people from every walk of life so they have every possible opportunity to use their talents and develop exciting new products which people haven't thought of. There's someone this morning, someone sitting down has got a brilliant idea, sitting in a bedsit, we know nothing about it. That person will be a multimillionaire in 5 or 10 years' time, and neither Philip nor I can tell you who the hell it is, in what country, but that is happening now. The trick is that the country that provides that,
come back on this. The key question is,
will benefit will be the one that provides the education and the circumstances they can prosper.
Yeah, I mean, just come back to that. I mean, is that person sitting in their bedsit, is that person going to find it easier under Theresa May's government to see this brilliant idea turn into a brilliant business?
Look, I repeat, I mean, I think Owen is factually wrong about where the working classes are in this country over the last 20, 30 years. White working class people has never had it so tough, particularly as Theresa May pointed out. But the point is I'm completely with Owen in the sense that the role of the state is to create a fair market. But what we have now is the free market has essentially been captured by monopolies and massive economic concentration that essentially prevent new market entrants into most mature markets outside of tech. And that means that most people aren't going to be able to get ahead through small and medium-sized businesses. And that's urgently what we need. We need to look again at competition law. And if we're going to make the rhetoric of entrepreneurship a reality, which I want, we've got to be hugely pro-small business.
Just want to get Owen Paterson's a sense of that. Could you agree with that, Mr. Paterson?
Oh, I totally agree with that. I mean, if you take one area of energy policy where there's been a consensus across parties, we're in a disastrous position here where our energy is significantly more expensive than our competitors. So you take the company making aluminium up in Northumberland, Linemouth. That company was driven abroad. The plant has been closed down. Several hundred highly skilled people not employed there anymore. The company's gone back to Canada. That is an absolute classic case where the government can interfere in a benign manner to ensure there is cheap energy and there is plenty of competition between energy providers. So Philip's absolutely right on that. But the key thing is for the government to provide the conditions and let the entrepreneurs get on with it and ensure the entrepreneurs have access to plenty of skilled, bright talent to grow their businesses without regulation, without taxation burying them.
Right, we are out of time. I'm very sorry, gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed. Owen Paterson, Philip Blond, very good to see you. And still